A tiger lay on her side at the edge of the forest, chest heaving, claws digging into the dirt. Her low growls echoed through the trees, not angry but full of pain. Ranger Noah froze when his flashlight caught her eyes. The beam slid down her body, blood on the ground, sides trembling, belly round and heavy. His stomach dropped. She's pregnant. Then he heard it. A weak, broken cry from deep in her throat. She's in trouble, he whispered. No vet, no backup, just him, the storm closing in, and a mother tiger fighting for her life. He dropped his pack and stepped closer, slow and steady. The tigress lifted her head, teeth bared. Too weak to attack, too desperate to rest. Her body twisted again, a sharp cry breaking through the rain. Noah's flashlight flickered. The jungle lost its light fast. He looked around. Only trees and darkness all around him. No signal, he muttered, tapping the dead radio on his belt. He was truly alone. The tigress let out another broken roar, body arching, claws digging deep. Mud spattered his face. You've been fighting this for hours, he said softly. His voice sounded strange against the storm. Lightning flashed. For an instant he saw her eyes again, wide and burning gold. Not wild, not feral. Pleading. Something in him broke. He pulled out the med kit and flipped it open. All right, girl, he whispered. You don't quit on me and I won't quit on you. Then another contraction hit, harder than before. Noah dropped to his knees beside the tigress. Her sides heaved. Each breath came out as a growl of pain. She tried to lift herself but collapsed again. His hands shook as he reached out. Easy now, he whispered. I'm here. We'll get through this. Her eyes locked on him. Bright gold, wide with fear. He saw the gash on her side, deep and bleeding. She was losing strength fast. He took off his jacket, folded it, and slipped it under her head. You're okay, he said. You're not alone. Another contraction hit. Harder this time. The tigress's body went rigid, her roar tearing through the rain and echoing through the trees. Noah steadied her, one hand pressed to her shoulder to keep her from rolling. Come on, girl. You can do this, he whispered. She clawed at the dirt, muscles trembling, breath rasping through clenched teeth. Minutes dragged like hours. Then, a flash of movement. The first cub, tiny, still, slick with mud and rain. Noah's heart jumped. He reached forward, hands trembling, wiping the fluid from its nose. He rubbed its chest with his sleeve, gentle at first, then harder. Nothing. He leaned close, voice shaking. Come on, little one. Breathe. The tigress growled low, her eyes locked on him. Not with anger, but something close to trust. He rubbed again. Harder. Then, a sound. A soft, broken gasp. The cub twitched. Then breathed. Noah froze, disbelieving. Then laughed, breath catching in his throat. You did it, he whispered. For a heartbeat, Noah forgot the storm. His arms trembled, mud streaking his face, but he couldn't stop smiling. The tiny cub moved weakly in his hands, its breath warm against his skin. Around them, the rain softened to a hush, as if the whole forest were holding its breath, listening. He looked at the tigress, her body still tense, eyes half closed in pain but watching him. I've got you, he murmured. The cub let out a small squeak, and the tigress exhaled, a long, tired rumble rolling through the clearing. The tigress let out a tired rumble, lowering her head toward her cub. He placed the cub beside its mother. She sniffed it once, then began licking its fur clean. Her breathing steadied, but only for a moment. Another contraction. Noah braced himself. You've got more, he said. She roared again, pushing with every bit of strength she had left. Mud splattered, blood mixing with rain. Noah stayed by her side, whispering between the thunder. You're doing great, keep going. Finally, another cub, smaller but breathing. Noah wiped his hands, trembling. The tigress curled around her cubs, body shaking, eyes half closed. Noah wiped his sleeve across his face, though it made little difference. Everything he owned was soaked. He'd seen animals die. Too many. But never one fight this hard to live. The cubs pressed against her belly, pawing blindly for warmth. The tigress shifted just enough to make space for both. Her tail brushed Noah's boot once. Light, accidental. But it made his breath catch. It was like the forest itself had reached out to thank him. He knelt lower, whispering, "Rest now. You did it." He stayed there, drenched, heart pounding, watching as the cubs began to nurse. Then, with a slow, careful motion, the tigress lifted her head. Her eyes met his. She leaned forward and nudged one of the cubs toward him. Gentle, deliberate. Noah froze. It was her way of saying thank you. For a while nothing moved. The rain softened to a mist, steam rising from the wet ground. The tigress breathed slowly, her cubs pressed against her belly. Noah crouched a few meters away, soaked, shaking, too tired to speak. Then the sound. A growl. Low, heavy, rolling through the trees like thunder. Noah spun around, heart pounding. From the shadows, another tiger stepped into the clearing. Larger, darker, every muscle rippling beneath the rain. For 2 seconds Noah thought it was over. He froze, hands raised. The male's eyes locked on him, the rumble in his chest deep and sharp. He took one step closer, claws cutting into the mud. "Easy," Noah whispered, voice breaking. The tigress stirred. Her head lifted, a soft, broken call escaping her throat. Not fear, but recognition. The male stopped. His tail flicked once. The growl faded to a low breath. He looked at the cubs, then at her. Noah didn't move. He just watched as the tiger lowered his head and brushed his muzzle gently along the tigress's neck. She answered with a faint rumble, her paw resting over one of the cubs. The air shifted. Danger turned to peace. Noah backed away slowly, each step measured, the mud pulling at his boots. "You did great," he said quietly. "All of you." He turned toward the trail, glancing back once. The tigress was licking her cubs, eyes half closed, safe at last. The male stood guard beside her, tail sweeping the ground in slow rhythm. For a moment the light broke through the clouds. A flash of gold on fur and rain. Noah smiled faintly and kept walking. The rain stopped by morning. Mist hung low, curling between the trees like smoke. Noah led the rescue team down the same muddy path. Every step brought him back. The flash of lightning, the tigress's cry, the moment he thought he wouldn't make it out. They reached the clearing. The earth was torn where she had fallen, claw marks pressed deep into the mud. But she wasn't there. Only big paw prints, leading into the thick, silent heart of the forest. The men spread out slowly, scanning the clearing in silence. None of them spoke above a whisper, as if noise might break the spell left behind. One ranger traced a finger along the prints. "She was weak, but she still walked," he said softly. Another pointed at faint drag marks near the edge. "She carried them for a while." Noah's throat tightened. "She never gave up on them," he said. The team fell quiet again, heads bowed slightly, not in fear, but in respect. It felt less like a rescue site and more like a sacred place. One of the men crouched down. "Looks fresh. Maybe a few hours." Noah didn't answer. His eyes followed the tracks until they vanished into the mist. "Over here," someone shouted from the trees. They pushed through the brush. Under an old teak tree lay Noah's jacket, the same one he'd used to steady her, soaked in her blood. It was half buried now, flattened by rain. He knelt beside it, picked it up slowly. The fabric tore a little in his hand. "She made it," one of the men said. Noah looked at the paw prints, the cub's tiny marks between the larger ones. He could almost see it. The tigress rising, weak but alive, her cubs pressed to her side. And the male tiger watching from the shadows, waiting until it was safe to move. He remembered that moment, when the male appeared. The look in his eyes, not rage, not hunger. Just trust. Noah smiled faintly. They all did. No one spoke. Then from somewhere deep in the forest came the sound. A tiger's call. Long, low, steady. The men froze. Noah turned toward the trees, listening. It wasn't a warning. It was goodbye. He slipped the torn jacket under his arm and started walking. The forest stayed quiet, alive again.